Piers Morgan covers the Vince McMahon scandal alongside ex-WWE talent and staff. We have a medical update on former AEW champion Bryan Danielson, and a WWE star has called out old heads CM Punk and The Rock. It's time for the news. Bit of an unexpected drop last night. Piers Morgan Uncensored, the YouTube channel, releasing a show focusing on the Vince McMahon allegations, featuring former WWE staff and talent, as well as a surprise guest who is introduced about 20 minutes into the show. Who we got on the panel here, Sam?
So we have Maven Huffman, ex-WWE star and current YouTuber. We've got ex-WWE announcer Jonathan the Coachman, WWF head writer during the Attitude Era, everybody's favorite, yours and mine, Vince Russo, Outkick broadcaster and ex-WWE backstage interviewer Charlie Arnold, and the special guest is revealed to be New York Post columnist Phil Mushnick, who's been covering Vince McMahon's various controversies for decades, like dating back to Snooker.
Yes, long time.
Yeah.
It also featured on the Netflix documentary as a talking head on there. Promotional material described the show with the following. Vince McMahon has never been loved all around. Like a choke slam to the mat, he is forceful, direct, and lacking in sensitivity. But few really know just how painful it was to work for the man that made the WWE what it is today. The new Netflix documentary, Mr. McMahon, reveals a side to the wrestling tycoon that verges on criminal, and Piers Morgan is suitably intrigued. They cover various topics during the show. It's available now to watch. Can't believe I'm plugging Piers Morgan's YouTube channel, but you can watch it now. Topics include the allegations toward McMahon, the line between Vince McMahon and the character Mr. McMahon, steroid use in the WWE, and at the end, a possibility of a Vince McMahon comeback. Everybody weighing in on those topics. It's certainly a varied cast of characters that you've got there. Maven aside, largely insufferable. I didn't think Coach was that bad, actually. Things get really heated about 20 minutes in when Phil Mushnick joins the panel. He describes Vince McMahon as a sociopath and says that he's the closest thing to Hannibal Lecter that he has ever met. Vince Russo goes into full-on wrestling promo mode, starts shouting at him. At one point, Phil Mushnick goes, "Don't call me bro." It's worth a watch. I'm not sure that you, as a wrestling fan, you're going to learn anything especially new. There's a lot of defending of Vince McMahon in the first 20 minutes before Phil Mushnick joins the panel, and as I say, it gets very heated from then on. You know what actually quite surprises me? How long it's taken Piers Morgan, who is very attracted to drama. That's the basis of his whole YouTube channel, is talking about these very serious things, largely a lot of like criminal stuff, and it all just boils down to, hey, this is drama. But it's taken him a while to get this together, hasn't it? Why has this come a few weeks after the Netflix release?
I genuinely feel like it's either taken them this long to get guests, which I don't think would have been a problem considering his considerable reach, or somebody has suggested it to him and he's gone, what, wrestling? That's stuff for kids? And literally just put it on the back burner until he's actually been able to watch it and gone, oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. It is an interesting watch. It's worth your 45 minutes.
If anything else, it's more mainstream coverage of the situation, and it's getting more eyes on the situation, more eyes on the Netflix documentary itself, and the depths to which it goes, and the depths to which remain unexplored within that documentary as well.
For sure. Heading over to the AEW side of things, we're going to talk about Bryan Danielson, former AEW World Champion. He
Shouldn't have passed out.
He lost at Wrestle Dream in the main event to Jon Moxley, new AEW World Champion. In the lead up to the show, of course, Danielson revealed that he needed neck surgery. We all knew that. He was really suffering from a litany of injuries. But while he hasn't retired, he is going part-time, and an update has been provided by the Wrestling Observer newsletter.
They say that Danielson will have an MRI to see the state of his neck and the damage done, and it will be assessed whether this has worsened since his last scan. There's hope that he will not require surgery, but if he does, then a return to the ring will all depend on how well a prospective surgery goes. It was revealed over the last couple of weeks that Danielson is officially a free agent as well, not working with a talent's contract throughout his final few months as the AEW World Champion. And the hope is that his in-ring career has not ended altogether and that he will be back to wrestle at some point sporadically in AEW, which is, we're all hoping for that.
Yeah, according to reports, they all believe that Bryan Danielson is going to be coming back to AEW, despite the fact that he doesn't have a contract. It appears that they're not especially worried about whether or not he'll come back. They do expect him to come back. With regards to the medical stuff, obviously we send him our very best. The belief is that this could potentially be treated with stem cell treatment. Hopefully it doesn't require surgery. If it does require surgery, he'll be off for longer than hoped. But all you can do is send him your very best. He's the bollocks, isn't he? He's Bryan Danielson. I've got to stop saying Daniel Bryan. It's drilled into your brain, isn't it? It really is. No, he was amazing. I was hoping, as I think a lot of people were, that the title run would be a little bit longer. But you know what? Mostly that's because I want Bryan Danielson as a full-time performer, but he's been doing it for so long. He wrestles such an aggressive physical style that,
I think we're all just selfishly wanting him to continue forever, right?
Oh man, it's totally selfish, but he's just... I love everything that he's ever done. There's never been a period of Bryan Danielson, his entire career, across the indies to WWE to AEW, that I've not enjoyed. He reinvented himself, and I love his matches. He's brilliant.
He's just remained consistent the entire time.
He has. He's so good. Sticking with AEW, Jim Ross has clarified some of his comments on Mercedes Monet. You may remember about a week ago, Jim Ross talked about AEW TBS champion Mercedes Monet not connecting with the audience. He's clarified some of his comments on the most recent episode of Grilling JR.
He said, one thing that's on my mind that I want to clear up. I said something regarding Mercedes Monet that, she'd not rung my bell, shall we say. He wasn't doing the cowboy comments and reposts on Twitter. That was no disrespect meant to her. It's all depending on how you're booked and who you're working with and the scenario, the storyline. I think she's been short of storyline, and so therefore I haven't got to feel that grit and that aggression. She's very athletic and she's a beautiful woman. There goes the cowboy. But golly, she could be used a lot more efficiently. I think I'm not knocking the company, but she's a significant investment, and I'm anxious to see how it all works out.
I want to preface this by saying I agree with JR. She hasn't connected for me since she's come to AEW. Totally agree with him.
It feels like they've just kind of gone, it's Mercedes.
She doesn't have the star power that I think she's had elsewhere. She's not connecting. I really do agree with him. To me, the bigger issue here is, why is Tony Khan allowing this to happen? One of his contracted talent doing his podcast, that's obviously in his contract that he's allowed to continue doing Grilling JR. It's good money for him and everything. But he is slagging off the company here. Why is Tony Khan allowing one of his contracted talent to be releasing these episodes which criticise the company he works for? You need to pull that in desperately.
Otherwise, it gets to the inmates running the asylum. Kinda. It's one of those where it's quite surprising that he was able to kind of make a statement like that, but at the same time, I do agree with him.
No, totally agree with him. But I think the bigger issue here is you've got this respected guy who's been in wrestling for a lifetime, essentially.
Way longer than Tony has.
Yeah, for sure. Like, everybody respects Jim Ross. To have Jim Ross slagging you off, or your character, your presentation, whatever off, is really damaging. That damages AEW. He can say, I'm not knocking the company, but he's knocking the company. Of course he is. I don't have a problem with that. Like, if he's allowed to do that, go nuts. But if I were Tony Khan, I'd be putting a stop to that straight away. It's like, talk about putting the toga on at WrestleMania, JR. Because I think it's a really big problem. It doesn't help AEW at all.
I think a big part of this as well is, if you listen to any of these podcasts with people who are still involved, especially the older people still involved, there's a lot of desire from listeners and from viewers for them to talk about current things. There's a lot of push and a lot of questions about current things, how things are going at the moment. Quite a lot of the time they can't talk about X, Y, or Z. There's like a statute of limitations on things they can talk about for a set amount of years. But occasionally when they do give an opinion, it backfires quite catastrophically. And in this case, it seems to have done that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, all it's going to do is turn more people on Mercedes Monet in a negative way. And as he says, she's a massive investment. She's being paid an absolute fortune.
But they just seem to have just gone, they just, like, thrown her out in front of the curtain and gone, way! And you need story. You need something to build around her, and I completely agree with him.
Yeah, again, I totally agree. Maybe I've defended AEW a little bit too hard there.
Look at you.
Because
sucking the company.
Because actually, the bigger problem is the presentation of Mercedes. Yeah. And they need to sort that out for sure if they're spending that much money on
How about
her.
we get Jim Ross some nice dancey entrance music?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
Work
go.
on Jim Ross's presentation as well.
We're going to finish off with a WWE star calling out old heads CM Punk and The Rock. Dominic Mysterio chatting away with Adam Bernard of Foundation Radio. He was asked to comment on CM Punk, and he said that he wants to work with him. He said, first of all, last week I was in the ring with CM Punk. Last I was in the ring with CM Punk, I was 11 years old, and he thought he was a big man singing happy birthday to my loser sister. But anyway, I'd like to see him now. I was my dad's height back then. So now I'm 6'1", 200 pounds. I've seen him wrestle CM Punk. So let's see what you got, old man.
When he was asked to comment on his past comments in which he stated the only good thing The Rock had done was Mummy 2, Dominic replied, honestly, I'm just tired of these old heads thinking they can hang and come in here with this younger generation, this new generation, if you will. I don't even want to speak for everyone else. I'm speaking for just myself. At the end of the day, I'm my own person. I'm the greatest Mysterio of all time. These old heads want to come in and get it. They all can. CM Punk, The Rock, don't matter. They're just mad because they don't have hair, and I have the best hair and the best mustache.
CM Punk has hair? I think he had a transplant, didn't he? Anyway, no, I think he did.
Really? Yeah, I didn't know that, no.
No, I think he did. Yeah. Anyway, that's not the point. Dominic Mysterio,
one of the trip to Turkey, comes back with amazing teeth.
One of the greatest characters in wrestling right now. It's brilliant because, like, he's completely stayed in character throughout this whole thing. The little jabs at his sister and Ray and all that stuff. He's just excellent.
But he's raised a valid point.
What's the valid point?
That we still have aging stars here, and that was a big sticking point for somebody like CM Punk back in the day, and now he is the aging star.
Fair enough. He is. Anyway, right. It's well worth a listen if you haven't done so already. Dominic Mysterio on form as always. Thank you very, very much for watching. Cheers. We've got some cool stuff coming up over the weekend. We've got a list going live tonight. We can keep you, make sure that your bell's on. What does that mean?
Hit your notification bell. Ding, ding.
There you go. And also, we have got coming to the channel tomorrow, every Anoa'i family member ranked from worst to best. It's a video that Sam cut. It's big.
My eyes have been bleeding because of this. That family is too big and it needs to be stopped, but this video kind of tells you about all of them.
It needs to be stopped. Sammy Dharma.
By the time we get this video live, there's going to be 5 more Anoa'i family members already like champions in WXW and on their way to the main roster.
We do.
We got to get it out. We got to get it out.
It's on Patreon if you want to watch it now. Patreon.com/Cultaholic. Have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in a bit.